My name is JR. I'm one of the pastors here. Again, I want to welcome you. We're really glad you're here to worship with us. If you don't know, if you haven't been with us many times or haven't been around very long, you may not know that the well is about 6 years old. The well started in, I think, March of 2014, March 2nd, I think, of 2014, as a new church plant here. Austin, who's over at our normal building this morning. Austin planted this church with another guy back in 2014. And since that time, we've gotten to see these really amazing things happen. From equipment being given and people showing up. Austin, talks about how, they bought a big house whenever they moved here, thinking, that they would do house church for the first 2 or 3 years, which is kind of the standard whenever you plant a church, that sometimes you might just kind of be in a living room for a little while until you kind of get critical mass and you move into a little bigger spot. But the Lord just decided to do something different, right? The Lord decided that, I think maybe their first or second interest meeting, I got here in 2016, so I wasn't around for a lot of this, but that first or second interest meeting, I think there was like 75 people that just showed up and decided they were interested and wanted to be a part of what the well was doing. And then for some reason, the Lord gave us a lot of favor with college students and has since the beginning of this church, that there'll be a lot of college students around, which a lot of churches don't get to have that blessing. And so we've been really grateful for that, and sometimes scratching our heads saying, why would they come here? But they do, and we're grateful for that, and we're excited about it. There's been lots and lots of other things that have happened, lots of families we've gotten to meet, and kids so many kids that have been born to be a part of this church, so many kids. Like, if you're here and you're newly married, you should be worried because you're going to have a kid really soon, and and then the Lord keeps doing things like across the street. There's a building that's being remodeled that God willing we'll be able to move into maybe here at the end of the fall. That'll be a spot for us to be able to spread out a little bit, take care of our families a little better, have extravagant, luxurious things like a lobby and bathrooms that don't open up right into our worship space. If you haven't been over to there, you may not know this. I tell you this because the Lord has done a lot of amazing things through this church plant, and we want to see the Lord do amazing things through lots of church plants. We're committed to that. That's the mission of the well, to make disciples and plant churches. And this morning, we're doing something a little bit different to highlight some of the folks that we're trying to support as we believe God has called them to plant churches, and as we try to be a part of getting to support them and encourage them and work alongside them and serve them as they move towards planting churches. So at each of our services this morning, we've got somebody preaching who's a church planting resident. So there's 3 different preachers this morning. At our first service, Ryan Henson preached. This is his first time to get to actually even be at a service with us. He's been working with us and walking with us all this year, but this is his first time to get to preach with us and be at a service. Ryan Owens is going to preach in this service. I'm going to call him up here in just a second. And Joe Gunther is preaching in our last service over at the other building today. All 3 of these men feel called, and we believe we've affirmed that call, that we believe that they are being prepared for a work the Lord is doing in different places around. We'll go ahead and ask Ryan up. You've probably seen Ryan around. Ryan is our most senior, most veteran church planter here at the well. He and his wife, Kendall, are looking to plant in San Angelo. So they'll be planting Redeemer Church San Angelo. Here pretty soon you'll see more and more of those shirts around as we're excited to get to support them. Plus, who doesn't like a new t-shirt? But Ryan and Kendall and Simon and Willa and Adler will be moving, again, God willing, sometime next year to be able to plant Redeemer Church San Angelo. So this morning, he's going to preach for us. They're all taking us through the same passage this morning, walking us, continuing through that same series in Acts. And so this morning, as you hear from him, I'd ask you, and as we are about to pray, I'd ask that you be praying for Ryan. I'd also ask that you be praying that the Lord will kind of show you how you might be able to support Ryan and Joe as they plant. Because it might be that you get to be a constant prayer warrior, a constant good friend and encourager to them. It might be that you need to be a financial supporter for them, and it might be that you need to consider praying, pulling up your roots, and moving to be a part of a new work the Lord has somewhere else, like San Angelo. So this morning, as we prepare to hear God's word, would you pray with me?